Why Amanda Walsh was replaced by Kaley Cuoco on The Big Bang Theory, and where the actress is now. Pilots are living organisms. They're written, shot, tested, trimmed, reshot, and then judged by a room full of strangers whose job is to say whether the thing breathes. The Big Bang Theory's original pilot, filmed in 2006, was no exception. That unaired first attempt featured a different female lead, a character named Katie played by Canadian actress Amanda Walsh. By the time the series premiered in 2007, Katie had been recast and reimagined as Penny, the warm, streetwise neighbor we now associate with Kaley Cuoco. It's one of those what-if moments in TV history. The same bones of an idea, assembled differently, and a hit series is born. But why exactly did Walsh lose the part? And how did she fare afterward? Let's unpack the story. The problem wasn't talent, it was tone. Amanda Walsh was a legitimate choice. She had been in the room, had the chops, and had already auditioned once for the project before producers retooled the lead into a tougher, brasher woman called Katie. The problem wasn't a simple wrong actor judgment. According to reporting about the pilot and the recollections collected in accounts of the show's development, the creators, Chuck Lorre and Bill Prady, along with directors and producers, made creative choices in the second version of the pilot that pushed Katie into a sharper, harsher direction. Test audiences reacted poorly. The collective verdict: Katie read as too mean next to Leonard and Sheldon's childlike awkwardness, and that imbalance broke the emotional center the creatives wanted the show to have. In short, it wasn't that Walsh couldn't act. It was that the role she was playing didn't give audiences a reason to root for her. Those early focus group results matter more than you'd think. Networks invest massively in pilots, and the people who greenlight shows are paranoid about the first impression. CBS executives, along with showrunners, decided the character needed reworking. The producers tried re-auditioning and reshaping, but the negative audience feedback stuck. So a tough choice was made: recast and soften the female lead into someone who would be the gentle human foil for a group of brilliant but socially obtuse men. Enter Kaley Cuoco, whose reading brought a brighter, more approachable energy that test room liked a lot more. The rest, of course, is TV history. From Katie to Penny, what changed and why it mattered. The transformation from Katie to Penny was more than a name swap. Penny became the show's moral and social compass, not book smart, but emotionally literate in ways that the male leads were not. That contrast allowed for warmth, comic friction, and heart, things that invite viewers to stay for 22 minutes episode after episode. Showrunners later admitted Penny started as something of a stereotype but evolved into a fully realized character with agency and emotional intelligence, largely because Kaley Cuoco brought nuance to the role and the writers leaned into it. That subtle shift, moving the female lead from cutting to connective, made the show feel less like a comedy about punching down at otherness and more like a comedy about human quirks in friendship. It's worth stressing that this wasn't a scandal or a personal failing. Chuck Lorre and Bill Prady have been quoted as saying the original character was written poorly for the story they wanted to tell, and that Amanda Walsh did exactly what was asked in her performance. When the network's reaction came back negative, the producers accepted responsibility for the creative misfire and bowed to the practical business reality. Recast the role or risk the show stalling before it even started. Amanda Walsh's side of the story, and why she's okay with it. If you're picturing a burned, blacklisted actor, you're wrong. Amanda Walsh has been refreshingly pragmatic about the experience. In interviews and in reporting about the show's early days, she's framed that week in her life. It was literally a week of pilot chaos as part of a longer career arc, one that includes acting, writing, and producing. Walsh has said she understands the mechanics that led to the recast and doesn't harbor bitterness. The creative team and the network made a business decision based on audience data. She's been quoted saying that, in retrospect, the recasting felt like part of her path rather than a derailment. So what did Walsh do after the Big Bang Theory pilot? She continued to build a varied career in film and television, and later, behind the scenes. Her resume includes small but steady roles in TV series and indie films, appearances on shows like Veronica Mars and Smallville, and work in independent features. In later years, she also flexed her creative muscles as a writer. Reporting suggests she even contributed story work on comedy projects and worked in writers' rooms, an evolution that underlines a key point. Actors who pivot into writing or producing often gain longevity and control over their career trajectories. Kaley Cuoco's Penny. Why timing and fit won? Kaley Cuoco didn't invent Penny, the show's creators did. But the timing and fit between Cuoco's natural warmth and the new creative direction clicked. Cuoco's Penny had immediate chemistry with the leads, especially with Jim Parsons' Sheldon and Johnny Galecki's Leonard, and her version of the character afforded empathy rather than friction. That tone allowed The Big Bang Theory to move beyond gag-of-the-week jokes and toward character-driven stories that kept audiences emotionally invested across 12 seasons. Producers later admitted it took some time to realize Penny's full potential. Early on, she flirted with the dumb blonde trope, but the writers and Cuoco deepened her into something surprising. Smart in social ways, unexpectedly wise about relationships, and a steady counterpoint to the gang's neuroses. The what if that didn't happen, and why that's okay. Television history is full of near misses. Imagine if a different focus group outcome had occurred, or if Walsh's Katie had been rewritten in a different direction. What would the show have looked like? Maybe it would have been darker, sharper, or simply less enduring. The true lesson here is humility. Creative choices at the earliest stages ripple outward. Sometimes a recast is an emergency fix. Other times it's the pivot that turns a middling pilot into a cultural touchstone. In this case, recasting Penny altered the moral center of the show in a way that invited millions of viewers to care, not just to laugh. Where Amanda Walsh is now a short version, Amanda Walsh kept working. She didn't vanish. She has continued to act in film and television, and has developed a career in writing and behind-the-scenes creative roles. Recent profiles and retrospectives emphasize her equanimity about the recasting and point out that, professionally, she expanded her toolbox, writing for comedies, taking indie film roles, and staying active in the industry. That's not a consolation prize. It's an artist choosing to evolve. In Walsh's own telling, the pilot week is a single episode in a multi-season life. Final thought. Pilots, pivots, and the strange alchemy of TV success. Casting can feel personal because acting is personal, but television, especially network sitcoms, are industrial projects. They require balance, the right beats, the right chemistry, the right tone. Amanda Walsh's experience is a useful reminder that a recast rarely means failure. Often it simply means the machine needs a different part to make it run. Kaley Cuoco's Penny became the part that made The Big Bang Theory feel like the show it did, and Amanda Walsh moved through the moment and kept making work. Both outcomes are part of the long, messy, human business of making TV, and both stories are worth remembering without turning them into a morality tale. If you want, I can pull up a timeline of the pilot's development moments, or a short list of Amanda Walsh's post-pilot credits with source links. Which would you prefer? Human business of making TV. And both stories are worth remembering without turning them into a morality tale. If you want, I can pull up a timeline of the pilot's development moments, or a short list of Amanda Walsh's post-pilot credits with source links. Which would you prefer?